Hello everyone, welcome to this Autodesk AutoCAD 2021 tutorial. Here I will be teaching you guys how to use the basics of this software and how you can get some useful outputs from it. Now, AutoCAD is actually a very important software for all of you to learn. It is your basic software where you'll be making the majority of your plans, sections, elevations, details, axonometrics, and so on and so forth. It is the basic drafting, 2D drafting software used in both industry and academia. So throughout your architectural studies here at the Manchester School of Architecture, you will be using this software to some degree, if not for the majority of things. Now, for this tutorial, we'll be doing two specific things. The first one is we are going to be working on the output that we got from our Digimaps, which is a topographical map, and we're going to be creating a figure ground drawing, creating a layout for it, and exporting it. So we're going to learn how to create layouts and how to export that. And the other part, so the second part, will be to create a brand new drawing where we can learn the basic things of creating lines and how we work with the basic modification tools of AutoCAD. So the first thing we want to do is to open a file. You can either start a new drawing by pressing here, and there is a number of templates for that, or you can open a new file. Now, in order to do that, there's actually three ways to do that. You have the open file up here. You have here file, which is like your Autodesk is like a file folder. Open, you can make a new drawing, or you can even do it here. So let's go ahead and press open files here, and let's see. It's going to load up here, and we want to open up a DWG drawing called Master App Topo. So this one was the one that I've downloaded in the previous tutorial with Digimaps. So if we press on that and we press open, it just says this DWG was saved by an application that was not developed or licensed by Autodesk. What do you want to do? Now, the reason why it says that is because Digimaps doesn't actually create the map itself in Autodesk. It saves it in a DWG format, which is the standard for an AutoCAD file, but it's not actually created here. So this is just warning us that it wasn't created here, which is absolutely fine. You just say continue opening DWG file. This is not a problem. So yeah, there we go. We've opened our file, and this is the output that we've got. Now, some basic things for AutoCAD. We can see that up here we have the ribbon. It's now in geolocation tab. There's a number of tabs: the home, insert, and so on and so forth. And you have the some basic functions up here: new, open, save, undo, redo. And you also have the file thing here, which you can use to see new drawing, open drawing, save, save as, import, export, publish. You can email your drawings and so on and so forth. You can print them, so you can plot them, and your drawing units. We can go ahead and check our drawing units. If we go to units here, we can see that our map is actually in meters, and we're going to be correcting that. You can actually correct it from here if you wanted to, but it doesn't rescale properly. So we're going to be correcting it in accordingly. So if we just exit from here now, yes, okay. Let's first view what these things are here. So geolocator is just because we've opened a geolocated map, and it's just what it was. We're more interested in the home tab here. You can see that draw things here. These are your basic functions like draw a line, draw a circle, draw an arc, draw a rectangle. These are your basic modify options: to move a line, copy a line, mirror, rotate, scale. Your basic annotation tools, your layers, you have your block styles, and you have your properties for those layers, measurements, insert. You can import PDFs and paste them back here. You can annotate with this allows you to create annotations, different scales of them, and so on and so forth. But the most important thing is the home tab, really. This little thing here is your properties. So whatever you do, there's certain properties attached to whatever it is that you're doing. Now, we said that we wanted to change the drawing units for our AutoCAD map. Now, in order to do that, we have to type DWG units. So you type it like that, and then you just scroll over and press that, or you just press enter, but you can just press that for now. Now it says down here, it says unit for length, and it says 1, and it says 1 there. So what does that mean? It means that the actual drawing unit for this file is inches. Now we don't want that, we want it to be in millimeters, right? Millimeters is the correct one. So if number 1 is what we have now, what we want is number 3. So we type in 3. So if we go here and we type in, oh, it's a bit stuck. Well, maybe it's sort of stuck down there. We type in 3 and press enter. Okay, so now it's asking us to a linear display format. We want it to be decimals. Decimals is what we want. So number 2, that is correct. Display linear display precision 4 is just the 0.000. That's the precision by which it calculates. We're in millimeters, so we want it to be 4. Scale objects from other drawings upon insertion. Yes, please. Match in as units to drawing units. Yes, we want to match it. And scale all these objects in here appropriately, even the ones in paper space. Yes, perfect. So now what it will do is it rescale the drawing for us. So let's go and check it out. So we go zoom, and then we type E, which is extends. It'll zoom back to this. Now if we go here and we check our drawing units, we'll see that it's changed to millimeters. Perfect, now it's in millimeters. So let's check how good it is. So how many meters or millimeters is this dimension here? It says 1,200. That's not right. It should be 10 times more than that. It means that it had an error. Not an error, but the way that it scaled it, because Digimaps, the way that it gave us, wasn't quite accurate enough. That means we need to rescale this. So how do we do that? Well, we left click on the left screen and we drag it down. We drag it down. So we left click here and drag it all the way down, and left click again to select the entirety of our map. So what happens when we select the entirety of our map? Well, we can now modify it by using the scale command here. So we press scale there, and the first thing it asks is to specify a base point. Now base point is on the bottom left here. I think that's the best base point to start with. So we press there, and then it says specify the scale factor. Well, we wanted to multiply by 10, so a scale factor of 10, and then press enter. So what it'll do is, boom, scaled it up for us. So let's use zoom, extends again. We type in zoom and E, press enter, and let's check it out. Let's check it out. How much is this now? If we draw a line, left click there, draw a line. What is the dimension that it gives us? 11,000 something. Perfect. That means that is about 11 meters. How about a road? A road is 3 meters. So this is not exactly correct. It means that the way that it scaled it up is it actually didn't scale it correctly, because this should have been scaled. When it was scaling it up from inches to millimeters, it should have been properly scaled by a little bit more. So this should have been 2 times more, and in actual fact it's 2 times 4. So we need to multiply that by 2 times 4 in order to get an appropriate scale for it, because that's the conversion between inches and millimeters. Now it's a bit fiddly now, I understand that, but sadly Digimaps doesn't make it easy on us, and you guys are going to be downloading from Digimaps and you want to have an accurate representation of it. Now the reason why is when you go from inches to millimeters, you have to multiply by 2,400 approximately. There's an exact error, but 2,400 approximately. We're going to do approximately, so 2.4 more. And we should get it very, very, very accurate now. So let's see. There we go. 6 meters for the road. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's about how much the road should be in diameter. And what about this? Yeah, there we go. 27 meters for the length of this. This is perfect. This is how big it's supposed to be. more or less. And we can even look at that in terms of the opening here, Benzi. So that would be, yeah, there we go. See, that's double doors there. That's about how much they are. Perfect. So now that we've scaled our drawing to a more correct unit, as it should be, we're now ready to move forward. And what we're going to be doing next, we're going to be learning about layers now. Okay. How do we do layers? Well, if we go into the layer properties first and we click there, we can see that we have a number of layers down here. Now, these layers are essentially different layers of information that the program has. So if we turn out the building area, for example, we're using this light bulb. See, now it's off. We can see that we can no longer view it. Now, we have a freeze layer. Now, what a freeze layer does is that it hides it, but it also we can't really change anything to it. It freezes that layer. And then we have the lock layer, which essentially keeps it there. It's still there. We can view it, but we can't interact with it. Now, layers also have colors. So each layer has its own color attached to it. Line type, line weight, and there's also transparency if you want. And obviously the name. Now, you see where it has a little green tick. That means that is your active layer. You can make a new layer as your active layer by just either pressing this or just double clicking on it like so. See, now it's been ticked here. It means that this is my active layer. Now, what is an active layer? What it means is that, let's go back to this one. If we are to draw, and let's draw by layer. If we are to draw a line or any type of information, let's just draw a line for now and press escape. It means that information that I've added now is saved into that layer. So if we hop back into the building layer and we hide that one, you see that how that information got hidden as well. So what we want to do for figure ground drawing, essentially just remove all other information other than the building area. But before we do that, we want to create a new layer. So in order to do that, we press here and it builds a new layer. Now our new layer will be named, we'll name it a site. Now, a site, what color do we want? We want it to be red, because this is our site boundary, right? Continuous line, yeah, perfect. And we want it to be a thick line. Let's just say 1. Okay, so this is our new a site layer. So by layer, there we go. Perfect. So now we're drawing something. So if we say that this is our site, right, and we want to draw on it, create a polyline, and we mark the boundary of our site. Right, we go from here to there, to there, to there, to there. Some here to here, there, like that. We're just going to mark the boundary of our lines there and there, like that. And yeah, we can be a bit approximately for now. Perfect. Now let's just make sure that this polyline is closed. So go polyline, and we right click on it and just press close. Right, so we have that. That's our polyline. Now, this is our site, right? It's got a red line around it. You can see it. Yes, perfect. So that's going to be our site. And well, we can actually move this a little bit to there. There we go. Perfect. What we can do with polylines is if we right click on the polyline, so if we select it and right click on it, we have this polyline thing, and we allow us to close it, which is perfect. We need to close the polyline, and we also can change its width. So let's change its width. Let's change the width to let's say 200. You see how it's become thicker. So now it's more prominent. This only works with polylines, and it's only so you can view it nicely in the drawing. Generally, when you print out, it's the width that you've assigned to the layer. If you have it here, that's going to be printed out. But this allows us to be able to see it quite nicely. So we'll make it a little bit thicker. We'll make it 500. Let's be a nice and thick line there. Nice and thick line. Well, let's make it a dotted line as well. How do we make a dotted line? Well, we select it, and then we go here and we select a dotted line. So you can see how it's dotted. If we zoom out, it doesn't look very dotted, does it? Now, that is because of the scaling. So if we, I've got our properties open here, but if we close the properties, in order for you, if you right click and we go into properties and that thing pops up, there's a line type scaling here, which you can change. So if we are to scale it by 20, for example, see, that's too big, way too big. See the spacing there? I think the appropriate would probably be like 3, maybe even 4. There we go. So when we zoom out, we can still see spaces between them. Maybe if we zoom in out that much, maybe we need to be around about 6. So we can more, see, identify the areas more. Okay, perfect. So we have that. Now, what do we want to do? Let's just delete that. We're going to go into layer properties again, and everything other than our side and the building area. So Control A, everything. So we click on one of them, press Control A to select everything, and we keep Control pressed, and we click on the site and building area layer. So we don't want to have those selected. The rest of them, you just press for them to be frozen, and there you go. Now you have a figure ground drawing. This is perfect. Figure ground drawings are excellent. They are very, 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 very helpful, and it might be something that you want to do as part of your outputs. Especially on a 1 to 1250 and so on and so forth. We can add all the information back by just unclicking this and unfreezing the rest of the layers, but for now we're just going to work with these. So here we are, we have figure ground drawing. Now when we looked at Digimaps, you can download a specific aspect of it like this. So how do we get this to be a specific scale and we export it? Well, that requires us to work with our layouts down here. We have to create a layout. So now we have our drawing, we've set it up. We need to create a new layout. In order to do that, we go down here and we press on the plus here. Perfect. And we created layout 3. We can use the other layers, but for now we're just going to use layout 3. And we we'll left click on layout 3. And we can see that it has this thing here. We can see there. Now, what we want to do is we want to create our own setup for it. So we're going to right click it and go page setup manager and modify it. We can even rename it actually. So if we just cancel that and just first let's well, we can rename it here. Okay, we can just rename it here. We're going to right click here and rename it and name it figure ground 1 to 1250 at what kind of page do we want? We want it to be on A1. Let's call it A1. So we want it to be a scale of a 1 to 1250 at A1, right? This is just to name it. It doesn't really do anything if you write that down. It's just for you to more easily know that that is what your what this layout is about. So let's set it up, right? So we've got that. We'll modify it, and we don't want it to print on it. We just want it to go to a PDF, DWG to PDF, right? And the size of it, we said we want it to be on an A1. So go to this A1. No. Actually, we need to go to this one because we want it to be on the landscape. And offset, no, I want it to be perfectly in the middle. So this scale 1 to 1, 1 millimeter to 1 unit. We're going to leave the scale at the 1 millimeter to 1 unit because we're going to be changing the internal annotation scale, the internal scale here to the scale that we want. And I'll show you guys how to do that. You can even change it here if you want, but it's a lot easier if we do it the other way around and we have a little bit more control over it. Now, plot styles. Plot styles is very important. Plot styles is something that you will be using, and it's actually very important that every architectural practice out there have their own plot styles, and each one of these plot styles basically what it does is let's create a new one here so you can understand. So we go to new and we start from scratch and we name it as a test. Press next. So what it basically does is a manipulation of the colors right? So each layer has its own color, if you remember, and each one of those colors means something. It just means something to the to this drawing. Now, what it means is everything that's colored red in that specific RGB code, it will have a you can assign to it to be printed as a grayscale, to have a specific line weight or line type to it, meaning that when you're working in AutoCAD, what you're actually doing is you might, some architectural practice, for example, might have red as their default external wall color, because they know that when they draw an external wall, they want it to be, when printed out, that thick on that piece of paper. So they would use this particular layer called external walls that will have the red color, and because their plot styles has red as being let's say line weight of 30 or 45, sorry, 0.30 or 0.40, it means that they don't have to consider thickening up the lines in their drawings. They automatically happens through the plot styles every time something's printed. It doesn't have to be printed in red. We can set it up to just print in black if we wanted to, through this plot style table editor. So a lot of companies do that, and for example, blue might be their windows, therefore it will have a thinner line weight and it'll still be gray, but it allows them to have a preset way of drawing, where they can layer up the information using colors, that when printed it will still be all black, but there's the colors are indicative of how thick the line will be when printed. So let's just cancel that. We're not going to create a new one for now. We're just going to create. We're just going to use the default one. But you know, if you were to create your own, I would probably just pick 4 or 5 colors, basic colors: red, blue, green, and it could be yellow, to be indicative of different line weights you want, and set them up as your printings, and only use those 4 colors when you're creating layers. Now we've set that up, yeah, everything's fine. Both styles, yeah, okay, great, and we'll press OK. 1 to 1, that's perfect, millimeters exactly. So now we've set up our drawing, and we can see that this is actually quite small. Right, so if we go here and modify it, you know, this is A1. It wasn't an A1 before, that's why it's become very small. So we need to create our own new viewport. So we'll select that, left click and drag down. So there's a difference between left clicking and dragging to the right and left clicking and dragging to the left. There's a different color. Now the difference is that if I left click and drag through here, it selects everything that the whole of it is within that blue area. If only a part of it is, it's not going to select it. While the opposite is true for this one. If a part of it goes within that green area, it gets selected. While this one, in order to select it, you have to go and hide the whole thing like that. It's just a little thing. Now, let's delete that and let's create our own viewport. So to do that, we'll type in mview, and we left click it there. And we select the corner and press left click and drag our mouse down to the other corner and left click again. And there we have it. We can also hide this. We don't want it to be printed red. We want it to be, you know, like that. So we don't want it to. We can even set it to be 0 millimeters, meaning that when it's printed, it's not actually going to be visible at all. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go into. You see this here? This is our paper space. So when you zoom out and zoom in, you're zooming out and in paper space. It means you're going further away and further closer to the paper. But if we press it, we go into model space. When you zoom in and zoom out, you zoom in and zoom out into the model. Now what we want to do is we want to annotate a scale here. There's different scales already annotated to it, you know, but what we want is a specific scale. We want 1200. So we're going to press custom. And we're going to write down here, we're going to add a new one, and it's going to be 1000 to 1250. It's the name that's going to appear on the list, and it means that one paper unit is 1250 drawing units. And we press OK. Okay. And now we click here and we select it. And that's our drawing at an A1 at 1 to 1250. This is the scale drawing, and we can test it. We can go, okay, so if we create another custom scale, and we add a new one, and we say that's okay, that's a 1 to 100 scale drawing, right? And we say, okay, perfect, that's a 1 to 100 drawing, and we select it from here. Whoop, there we go. So that's a 1 to 100 custom scales. 1 to 100 edit. Oh, we had it 1 to 1. All right, that's wrong. So we need to basically add a new one. 1 to 100. The second, and we need to put 100 here. Okay. Okay. So this should be correct. There we go. There we go. So we can pan it. So 1 to 100 on A1 covers our entire site. That's how big our site is. It's a big site, but we want to figure drawing, so we want this. Perfect. So now we have our site, and the next thing we want to do is we want to print it, right? We know that we've created this in model space. We've annotated it, and we know that it's going to be 1 to 1250, sorry, at that scale on an A1. So now we need to print it. So we right click here and we press plot. And we've already preset it, WGPDF, everything's fine, plot style, so it's fine, yeah, okay. And we press OK. And we wait. Now what it does is it's going to prompt you to save it somewhere. And it'll give you the name of the file dash the name of the layout here. We just want the name of the layout for now. We don't need the name of the file, so that's fine. Let's print it out, and what we get is this. There we go. This is our plotted figure ground drawing. Now, of course, we can change the colors of the hatchings here. We can do all this by changing the layer colors and so on and so forth. But for this show, it's fine. This is what we wanted. This is what we need, and we're happy with it. So the next thing we need to do now is we're going to save this file. Now we'll go back. Let's just hide that for now, and we're going to go here and we're going to create a save as file in here, and we're going to name it as our Autocad master plan tutorial. Okay, I'm going to save it here. You can save it in whatever format you want, it's fine. Autocad format, as long as it's a DWG, will be alright. So we've saved the file. What we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new file so we can test some of the features of AutoCAD, such as drawing and modifying, and create our own layers and so on and so forth. So let's stop the recording now from here and move on to new